You ever feel like you're just drowning in information, but you're not really getting it? Like you want the core idea, the good stuff, without reading a whole book.
Yeah, totally. Too much noise, not enough signal sometimes.
Well, that's what we do here on the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
We take a big topic, like today, Yvon Chouinard's whole philosophy in Let My People Go Surfing.
Patagonia's founder, yeah. Amazing.
And we boil it down. We're looking for the practical bits, the stuff you can actually use in your own life.
Right. It's not just about, fleece jackets. It's about a really different way of thinking about business and maybe even life.
Exactly. So think of this as your shortcut. We've gone through Chouinard's story, his ideas, and pulled out what seems most relevant, most actionable.
Okay, let's dive in. His background is, well, it's not what you'd expect for a CEO.
Not at all. He says it himself. No young kid.
Yeah.
Dreams of someday becoming a businessman. His dream was what, being a fur trapper?
A fur trapper, yeah, or just climbing and surfing. He was really shaped by those early experiences outdoors, and his dad, too.
Oh, right. The French-Canadian father.
Yeah.
Super practical, hardworking, that kind of guy who'd pull his own teeth.
That's the story, that self-reliance, that focus on quality tools. You can see how that influenced him later.
And his passions weren't exactly business school staples. Climbing, surfing, falconry.
Right. These things taught him values completely outside the normal economic system, like his time in Yosemite with the Valley Kong, as they called themselves.
They were kind of rebels, weren't they?
Yeah.
More interested in climbing than making money.
Right.
Rejecting that whole consumer culture.
Totally. And that spirit, that dissatisfaction with what was available, that's what pushed him into making gear.
He needed better climbing equipment, stuff that wouldn't fail. So he just started making it himself.
Pretty much. Taught himself blacksmithing, started forging pitons by hand in a shed. Really high-quality stuff compared to what was out there.
Took him like an hour to make just two, right? Selling them for $1.50.
Yeah, premium gear for serious climbers. But then came this really key moment, realizing the damage those pitons were doing.
Ah, the environmental angle kicking in early.
Yeah.
Hammering pitons into the rock over and over. It was messing up the routes they loved.
Exactly. So they made a huge decision to move away from pitons, their main product, towards aluminum chocks. Clean climbing.
Doug Robinson called it climbing with only nuts and runners. The rock is left unaltered, leaving no trace.
And that wasn't easy. It was a financial risk, moving away from their bestseller. But they found alternatives, improved on existing chalk designs.
Uppers and eccentrics?
Right. And they put it in their catalog, explained the environmental cost of pitons, and climbers responded.
Wow, so the market actually shifted because they educated their customers.
It did. Piton sales dropped off, chalks took over. It showed that values could actually drive business decisions, even back then.
Okay, so from hardware, how did clothing come into it? That seems like a leap.
It was, kind of. Initially, it was just meant to subsidize the hardware side, which was a bit feast or famine. They started importing rugby shirts.
Rugby shirts, why those?
They were tough, had a good collar to protect from climbing slings, and surprisingly, they sold like crazy, even to non-climbers.
Interesting. But they didn't call it Chouinard clothing, did they?
No, they wanted to keep Chouinard equipment focused on the tools, and they saw bigger potential for the clothes. So, inspired by a trip Doug Tompkins took.
They came up with Patagonia. 1973.
Yep. But they quickly found out the clothing business, the rag business, was totally different.
Oh yeah, that first big order disaster from Hong Kong.
Total nightmare, late, poor quality, wrong sizes, shrinkage, almost bankrupted them, a huge learning curve.
It really shows how much they had to adapt. And that's where Chris McDivitt came in, right? To sort of professionalize things.
Yeah, she was crucial. Chouinard basically handed her the reins, like, here's the companies, I'm going climbing.
Oh, serious?
Pretty much. And she, with no formal business training, just started asking for help, learning on the fly, figuring out how to make Chouinard's vision work day to day.
That takes guts. Just calling up bank presidents and saying, I don't know what I'm doing.
It worked. People respected the honesty. She was key in translating his, let's say, unconventional ideas into a functioning business.
Meanwhile, Chouinard's off doing his own kind of business research, reading about Japanese management.
Exactly. Always looking for alternative models, not the standard American corporate way. And learning from friends like Doug Tompkins at Esprit, who are also doing things differently.
So, okay, they survived the early chaos. Let's get into the real meet their product philosophy. This is where the actionable stuff really comes in.
Absolutely. It starts with a core question. Is it functional?
Function first. Makes sense for outdoor gear.
Right. The need dictates the design. Like, thermal underwear has to wick, breathe, dry fast. They figure that out before worrying about how it looks.
Which is kind of the opposite of fashion, where maybe the fabric comes first.
Often, yeah. Patagonia even thinks about humidity levels, tropical weave versus desert weave. It's about solving a specific problem.
Okay, takeaway for us. Really think, what do I need this thing to do before buying?
Precisely. Then, is it durable? Built to last a lifetime. That's the goal.
They test everything like crazy, right? Trying to make it stronger.
Constantly. Fabric, zippers, seams. The idea is buy it once.
Which connects to sustainability too.
Yeah.
Buy less, use it longer. Maybe spend more up front, but less replacing things.
That's the principle, which leads to the next point. Is it repairable?
This is huge. Designing things so they can be fixed.
Yeah, like zippers. They're common failure points. Can you replace it easily without wrecking the whole garment?
Patagonia's repair program is famous. They even have guides online with iFixit.
Exactly. It empowers people. So the action point is obvious. Try to repair things. Don't just toss them.
Learn a few basic fixes or find someone who can do it. Extends the life of stuff massively.
And is it as simple as possible?
Getting rid of unnecessary bells and whistles.
Right. Elegance through simplicity. Focusing on what's essential. Less complexity often means less can go wrong, too.
I like that. It cuts through the noise, Maybe helps us simplify other parts of our lives, too.
Could be. Next question. Is it an innovation or an invention?
Meaning?
They focus more on improving existing good ideas rather than always trying to invent something totally new from scratch.
Like their pile fleece.
Yeah.
That came from seeing a fisherman's sweater, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Taking a good concept and making it better, more functional with new materials. Progress isn't always about revolution.
Okay, what else?
Is it a global design? This means thinking about different markets, but also the global impact. Like, is air freighting stuff everywhere really sustainable?
Probably not for non-essentials. Makes you think about that free 2-day shipping, doesn't it? The hidden environmental cost.
Definitely. Then, is it authentic?
True to its purpose?
Yeah. If it's a rugby shirt, it should actually work for playing rugby, not just look like one.
So for us, maybe seeking out things that are genuinely well-made for their intended function, not just trendy copies.
That's the idea. And finally, is it beautiful?
So aesthetics do matter.
Yes, but not in a fast fashion sense. More about timeless design, quality that endures, something that feels like art, not just clothing.
So investing in pieces you'll value for a long time, looks and function. These principles really offer a framework for making better choices, don't they?
Totally. It's about being more mindful, more values-driven as a consumer.
Okay, so these values aren't just in the products. They seem baked into the whole company, especially their environmental stance.
Oh, absolutely. That Pitton decision was just the start. In '86, they committed to donating a percentage of sales, not just profits, to environmental groups.
Which became 1% for the planet later on. That was pretty radical back then.
Hugely radical. And they walked the talk internally, too. Recycling using recycled materials like Sinkilla fleece from plastic bottles.
And the big one, switching to organic cotton. That must have been tough.
Immensely difficult and expensive at first. They had to basically help create the supply chain. But they saw the damage conventional cotton was doing and stuck with it.
It shows that long-term view. They also use that 5 whys thing, right, to dig down into problems.
Yeah, keep asking why until you get to the root cause, which they found was often environmental. It's about systemic thinking.
And this responsibility extends across the whole product lifecycle.
Definitely. The Worn Wear program is all about repair and reuse. They have this massive repair facility in Reno.
The biggest in North America, isn't it?
I think so. And the Worn Wear tours, fixing gear for free, it directly challenges that disposable mindset. Recycling is like the last resort for them.
So the action point is thinking about the end of a product's life even before you buy it. Can it be repaired, recycled?
Exactly. And they don't shy away from activism either, supporting environmental campaigns, fighting damaging trade deals.
They use their business as a platform. Financially, too, they prioritize quality over rock-bottom prices, believing it leads to better business long-term.
Right. There's data supporting that the PIMS report links quality and profitability. They also aim for natural growth, not just getting huge fast. Quality over quantity.
Being the best small company, not necessarily the biggest. And becoming a B Corp cemented all that, right? Formalized the commitment.
Yep, legally bound them to consider social and environmental impact alongside profit.
It's a compelling model.
Yeah.
What about the people side, how they treat employees?
Also pretty unconventional. They hire independent thinkers, people who aren't just yes men.
And that management by absence idea, trusting people to get work done.
Yeah, based on trust and self-motivation, building a family-like culture, and the benefits reflect that.
The on-site childcare is legendary. They see it as a business investment, not just a cost.
Totally. Better focus for parents, loyalty, plus the kids growing up seeing work as part of life. It's holistic.
It all seems geared towards continuous improvement, embracing change, even using pessimism as a motivator.
Right. Chouinard talks about being pessimistic about the planet's future, but that drives him to act, and his definition of evil.
Not just doing bad, but failing to do good when you have the power to.
Powerful stuff. It pushes them beyond just doing less harm.
Which leads perfectly into Patagonia provisions and tin shed ventures, moving towards actively doing good.
Exactly. Seeing the problems in industrial agriculture, they started Provisions, a food company with the same values, trying to fix the food chain.
With things like sustainable fishing methods, supporting regenerative agriculture,
Yeah.
like that Buffalo company.
Wild idea, Buffalo, yeah. Ranching practices that actually help restore the prairie ecosystem and sequester carbon. It's about solutions.
And Tin Shed Ventures invests in other companies trying to do similar things.
Right, supporting other for-profit, mission-driven startups, spreading the impact.
It all comes back to individual action too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Supporting activists, being the change.
Gandhi's quote, yeah. And embracing appropriate technology, simpler, sustainable ways of living.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot. Let's try to boil this down again. What are the main takeaways for someone listening? The actionable stuff.
Well, I think the big one is that business can be different. It can be a force for good.
Right. And for us personally,
Yeah.
maybe start by prioritizing function and quality. Buy less, choose well, make it last.
Definitely. And embrace repair. Learn to fix things or find someone who can. Extend the life cycle.
Be more conscious of the impact of what we buy. Where did it come from? How is it made? Who made it?
Support the companies that align with your values. Your money talks.
Keep asking questions. Educate yourself. Don't just accept the status quo.
And remember that individual actions add up. It might feel small, but collectively it makes a difference.
Think long term. What are the consequences of our choices?
So maybe the final thought, the challenge for everyone listening is, what's one small thing you can do differently after hearing this?
Yeah, just one step. Maybe research a brand's ethics. Fix that broken zipper. Support a local environmental group.
Something concrete. That's how change starts, right?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Chouinard's world. Hopefully it gave you some useful insights and maybe sparked a new idea or two.
Yeah, think about how these ideas might ripple out into your own life, your community.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive. Until then.
Keep digging deeper.